Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ricky's Math Minute. Super excited for today's video as we dive into systems of equations and some linear algebra. What we're going to look at today is dealing with two variables, but if you go further in math, you look at a mathematics bachelor's degree, or you're looking at upper level math, you could deal with some of these in matrices that have far more variables than the two we'll deal with today. So there are several approaches to solving this. One, probably simpler than any other, is if you're given multiple choice answers, you can simply just substitute in your x and y to see if that satisfies that equation. And if it does, you have your answer. That's a quick way. The other way is to isolate one of the variables, solve for that variable, and then substitute it in to get your other variable. And the way that we do that is by figuring out how we can make a variable become zero. So if you look at both of these equations, what can I multiply this top equation by to get rid of a variable? I don't have to do anything. I don't have to multiply this by anything because if I look already, what's happening here? Well, you have plus 3y and negative 3y. So already, if I add both of these equations together, I'm going to get negative 2x equals negative 14 because my plus 3y minus 3y becomes 0. Now, I divide both sides by negative 2. I get x equals 7. Now I can take one of my original equations, and this one's probably the easiest, substitute in my x value, to find that y equals negative 2. I've skipped a couple, really one arbitrary step there of subtracting 7 from both sides, and that's how I arrived at that negative 6. Looking at number 12, how can we get rid of one of these variables? Well, I see that I have 1y in the bottom equation and a negative 8 at the top. So what can I multiply 1y by to get 8? Well, I can multiply by 8. So I'm going to rewrite my equations here. When you multiply, you have to distribute that 8 all the way through. You can't forget anyone. I like to equate this to bringing cupcakes for a class. If you brought 24 cupcakes, but there's 25 people in your class, well, that last person's going to be upset they didn't get a cupcake. It's kind of like this. If I don't distribute this 8 into everything, well, something here is going to get left out and he's going to feel lonely. So if I multiply by 8, this becomes negative 40x plus 8y equals what is 19 times 8. I'll give you a second to multiply that on your own. It is 152. And then now we simply add these together. When we do that, we get negative 43x. My y's cancel out, 172. When I divide both sides by negative 43, I get x equals negative 4. We substitute that back in. Either one of these equations will give you the answer. We substitute that back in, negative 3 with negative 4 minus 8y is 20. We get 12 minus 8y equals 20. Negative 8y equals 8. So y equals negative 1. Okay, so you would have your coordinates here, x equal, or you have your coordinates here, negative 4 and negative 1. What exactly does that mean? Well, we can talk about that in a later video, but think about what these coordinates mean in a system of equations. Why do they matter? Okay, let's look at one more here. Number 13. What can I multiply my bottom equation by to get rid of one of these variables? We already have a negative 3x and a positive 3y. So let's multiply by a negative 3. Okay, so I get negative 3x plus 3y equals 4. And I get 3x minus 3y equals negative 9. Negative 3x plus 3x becomes 0. 3y minus 3y becomes 0. Oh, 0 equals negative 5. Is that true? Is that a true statement? Well, we can't solve for these variables. We've realized that now. This answer is no solution. And that does it for today's Ricky's Math Minute. Jump back in next week as we continue to look at various things. If you have a video you want to see about a certain topic, let me know what that topic is. Additionally, as Ricky's Math Minute continues to transform, we will continue to talk about other things, maybe some famous mathematicians, maybe some math happenings in the world, because I like to say that math is involved in everything. We all already know that to be true. What exactly does that mean? Stay tuned in later videos to find out. Thanks for tuning in.